Okay, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to everyone, and welcome back to another Engineering the Markets. My name is Jared. It is December 12th, 2022. Happy Monday to everybody, and let's take a look at how we're setting up for today. We're going to talk about the week that just passed. It was a fairly volatile week in regards to some of our quantitative measures of the marketplace. We're going to talk about some of the high impact data that we're seeing and what it means for how the market is prepping for the next stages of the economic cycles, along with some of the catalytic drivers this week. And those are, of course, in focus for our everyday, along with our swing and short-term trade for the current week. So with all that said, let's dive right into it. I'm kind of gathering myself to kind of think about how to start the session. But as always, on Monday, we quite simply just want to start by looking at what the marketplace in the SPX is pricing for volatility the week ahead. For those unfamiliar, this is a study that we are continuing to do. This is a way to view how the option marketplace has priced S&P volatility for the week expiring, in this case, on December 16th. The way we do this is every single time the marketplace closes on Friday, we can look ahead and look at the following Friday's option series. We can see what they are pricing that volatility to be based on the close of the previous Friday. In this case, they've priced it at approximately 127 points. And just a quick caveat for this particular week, be careful not to look at the AM series, which expires in the morning session on that Friday. So now that we have all that information, we have things like last Friday's close, and we closed at approximately 39.34, along with our expected move of 127. We can just map out where that expected move pricing lands the SPX. And for the week ahead, we have an upper bound of approximately 40.61, a lower bound of approximately 38.07. Now, all that said, there's something notable about last week that hasn't quite been as dramatic as we saw in previous trading weeks. For one, the marketplace had only priced about 66 points of expected movement. We noted on Monday how low this happened to be. In fact, it was the lowest reading we had seen as of late and comparable to a week where, for the most part, the market moved that expected move, but it was moving it on a short trading week, and more specifically, the expected move was realized within a day or two. Usually the Tuesday to Wednesday sessions, we were hitting one of the boundaries of that expected move. What was special about last week was we did have data that was coming out, and we know the marketplace is highly sensitive to some of these data releases. More specifically, if we look back at last week, what were some of the data items that drove some of the market movement? Well, we had things like composite PMI. We had non-manufacturing prices. This was sort of an economic gauge as to how the contraction or expansionary cycle is affecting the US. And then on, I believe it was Tuesday, if I'm getting my dates correct. Nope. Maybe it was Wednesday. I feel like I'm not seeing the update. I am missing something here. But we did have some high impact data on, I believe it was Tuesday, but I am not seeing it currently listed. All that said, on Thursday and Friday, we had even more data drop. Things like initial jobless claims on Thursday, and we saw this particular metric come in. Yeah, see, it's not giving me the update here. So apologies, I was missing the data at the bottom compared to what I was selecting at the top. So we saw initial jobless claims on Thursday, along with PPI. And as we know, some of the Federal Reserve's decisions are based on how these metrics are coming in. They want to see certain unemployment rates. They want to see certain inflationary drawdown in regards to PCE and PPI. And then as we have this week, we do also have CPI coming out, and that's going to be on Tuesday. So the marketplace is still, let's see what happened. I was selecting down here and not selecting up here. So I made the wrong selection. That's okay. I'll just disregard some of that information for now. We do have CPI on Tuesday, and that's going to be right in front of our FOMC decision, along with the press conference and statement that are going to be released on that date. So this particular week has all of the characteristics of a high price moving type of week. Last week had some of that too. And I think the data from last week was actually a bit more telling than what we're likely to see this week. More specifically, what is the marketplace thinking about current inflationary readings, and what is the future outlook of where is our cycle headed as far as the economic cycle of the US? Some of the things that were noteworthy from last week is we're getting data that is inherently supposed to drive probability in regards to how the Fed approaches their next Fed rate hike cycle, or sorry, Fed rate hike decision. These probabilities are not something that is objective. Not something that's subjective. It is something that can be tracked. The marketplace has really off of my game today. The marketplace has futures products that allow you to actually track these probabilities. And through this particular tool, which we've brought up multiple times, you can actually see how those probabilities are changing, along with comparing some of those changes week to week, day to day, if you're in this tool more aggressively, along with looking out into the future, which is where the eventual Fed overnight rate should be landing out in May. And this is kind of the high end of what the marketplace expects for May, which is approximately a 5% Fed fund rate. Now, what's interesting about this is last week we received data that for the most part should have driven some of these hawkish / dovish decisions, along with adjusting some of the probabilities of what the Fed is likely to do. And yet, as you can see, barring a couple of minute percentage differences, week to week, and this is mapping from the week before this data came out, the probability of a 50-point rate hike in this Wednesday meeting has not changed. It has remained fairly static. This tells the marketplace a few things. One, some of the data related aspects of what has driven some of the more hawkish rate hike decisions is no longer as impactful to the upcoming couple of FOMC meetings. The probabilities are not adjusting based on what we're seeing. And for the most part, probabilities that have been in place since last FOMC have remained intact. There are some fluctuations. I would argue that month over month, we've seen a little bit more of a decline in certain very dovish expectations. Things like a 25-point rate hike has come down relative to our first FOMC on February of 2023. But for the most part, the market is projecting a 5 to 5.25 target rate by May. And this is kind of our mid-2023 high end. This is where we kind of expect things to either be fully realized throughout this quantitative cycle, or at the very least, we're going to get here and start to see a pause. And this would be where there is no additional rate hikes coming into future FOMC meetings. And even more interestingly, 2 FOMCs out in July, if all of these probabilities are landing within these zones, we're actually seeing our first higher probability that we're seeing a reduction. The first time that they're actually pivoting back into quantitative easing based cycles, something where we're actually reducing the target rate. So why is this important for the market? What does this mean in regards to the data that we're seeing day over day? And outside of short-term volatility, what does it tell us about how the market's positioning for the future and for 2023, which for the most part is going to be the theme this week? My argument, and this is a little bit of a bias, but the market tends to agree with some of the directional bias that we've seen so far, is that we're no longer as concerned about inflation. The marketplace understands that inflation is relatively sticky. There is going to be periods of readjustment moving into 2023. And some of these inflationary forces are already being felt, either by consumers, by the suppliers of some of the commodity products that have some of those larger markups, and just internationally, some of the supply-demand metrics that we're starting to fully understand and see in earnings cycle reports. Instead of inflation, I think the marketplace itself is looking at what effects does this have if we're heading into a more recessionary period. And for this particular positioning, does the S&P favor the upside or the downside during periods of recession? More specifically, what sectors and what forces in regards to things like the 10-year interest rate or just the actual yield curve itself, and I'll be looking at the 2 to 10 just to kind of narrow down that focus, along with what is the dollar saying. Because in a period of inflation being the driver, I think the market's response to increases and decreases in dollar, increases and decreases in rates, and the sensitivity to the curve itself, the yield curve directly, that is actually viewed as good or bad relative to certain understandings of how inflation works during that time. That perception, however, changes dramatically if the marketplace is pricing in more of a recession. And what I'd like to offer is tomorrow, we're going to look at this more in depth. We're going to see how the market is actually leading some of that information and placing a bit more of its price-related probability into a more recessionary period for 2023. A lot of the positioning we've seen, some of the repricing we've been experiencing this past week, and more appropriately, the sensitivity to sectors is starting to really show that the S&P is not really looking at inflation as the main drivers right now. It's actually preparing for recessionary factors. So what I'm going to offer is that tomorrow we'll look at that It's a little bit more data-driven approach, but it's also a little bit of a anticipatory section, because I do think it's important for how we're trading, and it's important to understand what the data means. Because if you have the wrong perception and you've been trading a certain way, especially in 2022 when inflation was the factor, the Fed was the factor, this isn't true anymore. I don't believe this is going to be the force that needs to be monitored in 2023. Instead, we're going to see different risk, different types of allocation, and more specifically, outperformance and underperformance based on some of those sectors. So some of the early information about that can be somewhat evident and kind of seen in last week and last month's sector performance. If I'm just looking month over month for last month, you'll notice a very large divergence in a particular sector. That sector is energy. Energy is not only starting to become a bit more risky to the upside, but I think if we are shifting from inflation to recession, energy often will start to top out around that time. It's usually where the end of that macro bull market starts to find its, peak. And while it's not about finding the absolute highest price in the marketplace, you can start to see that being positioned in energy over the past month has been lagging the S&P. It's even been lagging across the board in regards to some of the more small cap and just direct exposure to US based growth, which IWM tends to represent. But overall, this has been the worst performing sector this past month. And even last week, I think we saw most of the drawdown last week. This is something I've been trying to slowly build a thesis towards, but the idea is simple. The demand for energy commodities and the demand for using energy as some sort of economic driver tends to decline as consumers and basically that particular population doesn't spend as aggressively. If they are saving and looking to only spend on the necessities, energy tends to correlate to things like travel, tends to correlate to things just like using that energy for any sort of product movement, actually shipping and some of the costs related to moving product around. If a consumer is not purchasing, or the purchasing power has gone down significantly, then some of those demand costs are starting to retract. And what we're seeing is, at least based on the past month, energy stocks are starting to price that in. They're putting pressure to the downside in the way of a more short-based thesis on energy stocks, which has been a challenging thing to do this past year because, for the most part, the market has been inflationary focused. It's obviously just starting to show itself recently, because if I look 3 months out, this divergence is not necessarily as high. Energy kind of falls within the middle, and especially over the past year, energy is still leading. Overall, there's been a lot of damage in other sectors, but noticing the shift early, positioning accordingly, and starting to unload or remove risk in a strong sector that is topping is what keeps portfolios healthy. It's what keeps you out of the decline. And it also keeps you aware that you should start reallocating towards new or potentially more viable sectors with more potential to the upside. As I mentioned before, the sector I'm focused heavily on is healthcare. And healthcare tends to be an outperformer during a recession. More specifically, it starts to really show its strength at the early stage of a recession. The outperformance is more realized as we're entering into a late stage bear market. And if the S&P, for example, is not necessarily over with its downside move, if we do see a little bit more consolidation or just not necessarily an uptrend, but more of a range, I think there is going to be periods of outperformance as the marketplace recovers, maybe from a low to high type move. Healthcare, for example, might actually be breaking out or seeing new all-time highs in certain stocks. We've started to feel this already, and I would argue that we're seeing some of the price characteristics as we shift into some of our just general S&P healthcare sectors. But more so, some of the big pharma names have been leading the S&P. There's been a lot of strength and market breadth returning, more specifically to healthcare. There's also been a push towards industrials. I'm looking to see if this is going to be a opportunistic pullback. If the market does decline, are we looking to more or less buy a trend at this point in time? And I think a lot of things kind of hinges on how the market is interpreting data at this point in time, which is part of tomorrow's discussion, along with just the theme of what sectors to focus in on. So as you're out in the marketplace, I think there is there's a complacency that we can have as traders. We do what's been working because it continues to work, and if it doesn't, we stop out, we ask ourselves why, we see if there's anything diverging or changing about our strategy, and then we make adjustments. My objective here is to indicate that the marketplace is starting to change, not just week to week, not by price, not by anything that is as insignificant as a trend line on a S&P bearish channel. I'm talking about what is the market responding to? Where is it placing its monetary bet? And in doing so, what rallies are going to be more powerful? Which declines are going to be harder to catch? Which declines are not going to recover as well? And in doing so, we can see not only the divergence in previous opportunities, but stay away from things that are starting to break. It's hard to know when a bull market is over. So calling something like the energy bull market completely over is, for the most part, speculative. I would argue that we're seeing more risk in energy. And in that risk comparison, we have to ask ourselves why. Why is energy, which has often been a leader, starting to see decline? Well, part of it is because short-term crude demand has gone down. The active contract of crude futures has been repriced to the downside. And with that comes a repricing of energy stocks, which are still strong, but over the last month or so have underperformed. And more specifically, I would argue that year over year, we start to see things like percentage drawdown relative to year to date, which I thought I had kept, but I can always recover it. You know, this is a sector that's outperformed, you know, in general, just holding energy stocks and being engaged with the energy sector. But this is no longer true in some of the short to medium term trade. And this is a dangerous time to assume that things are going to change if we're seeing the economic cycle change underneath. Last but not least, I kind of see some of this market sensitivity in regards to rates. And more specifically, as I mentioned, just kind of looking at 10 and 2, the spread between the interest rate deviation that the two have. And remember, this is something that has been in focus. Maybe not as much on this particular show, but the significance of this spread is the largest deviation we've seen in 25, 30 years. Any changes to that spread, the market itself might respond to it, especially given how steep this decline is. And what we've noticed recently is, at least as far as the 10-year interest rate, it's come down dramatically. So any product that's tracking 7-10-year approximately has seen a rally. We've seen pretty significant gains in some of the long bond trades, and that is indicative of a possible stage 1 or contractionary phase of a business cycle, in this case the economic cycle that we're kind of leading to. But the sensitivity to the curve itself and what the marketplace does in response to those changes, you have to remember there's two products at hand. This is a ratio or a comparison. So the question then becomes, are bond traders and the market as a whole buying longer term bonds and not necessarily shorting something like a 2-year bond, but the rally in the 2-year bond is not as significant. Therefore, the curve starts to tighten and come in a little bit. If that's true, and we start to see those indicators, which once again we'll talk about a bit more tomorrow, then it means that there is a rush to longer term rates. And that means a fear, at least in the sort of classic historical sense, there's a fear of upcoming hardship in the economy, especially because a 2-year is essentially tracking approximately half of a business cycle. Usually the full, I would say, like contractionary phase or expansionary phase, depending on which side of the market you're in. Usually the full cycle is about 5 years. 2 years would be about half. And if there's some hardship to come, if the economy sees pain ahead, bond traders usually go to the longer term rates in order to prepare for that, which means that we might see outperformance in longer term rates, albeit the bond market as a whole has rallied. And this is more or less not just long or short, but where is the strength? Where is the outperformance? And where can we find edge? Where should we position ourselves as traders, as investors, and as position managers for the upcoming year? So we'll talk more about that tomorrow. I'll have a little bit more of my ducks in a row. But as of today, be aware we do have some market moving catalysts this week. Keep an eye on the calendar this week. Do not let these data drops surprise you, because the S&P is moving on them. It's moving very quickly, especially in pre-market. We're seeing these 7 to 8 point drops coming from data being released. So, for the most part, don't get trapped by it. Try your best to trade around it. And as always, the technicals really haven't changed. This is kind of why I'm shifting focus today. But remember, we do have some higher volatility priced in this week. Let that be kind of a guide, especially after we get past the FOMC. We should see some of that volatility come out, but the market's still pricing larger moves this week compared to last week, even though we did deviate slightly or twice. So as always, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Market. Stay tuned for pre-market prep. Please attend tomorrow and Wednesday. We'll cover more of this in depth. And as always, like and subscribe if you like the content. We'll talk more then.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to PreMarket Prep. I hope everyone had an amazing weekend. I hope you're having an incredible morning. Good morning, Norma. How are you doing today?
Good morning, brother. I'm doing all right. I hope you had a nice weekend.
I did. Good weekend. Hope everyone else did also. Guys, thumbs up for Jared engineering the markets every Monday through Thursday as he gets us prepared for the market open here as well. Um, All right, a lot going on this week, Norm. We kind of been waiting for a lot of information that's going to drop tomorrow, right? This inflation data has been the
Yeah,
elephant in the room.
it's a blessing
Um,
and a curse because I think
yeah,
today's gonna kind of be meh. But
yeah, yeah, and,
we've
and
experienced that before in the last several months when we've had big data drops. The days preceding it, the couple of days preceding it, are often a little bit dull. That doesn't mean that we won't have some things in play as we always do, but overall might not be the best.
yeah,
Tomorrow, probably wild.
yeah, I agree. And we've seen that, no continuation, a lot of choppy action across the board. If you look at the SPY here, you can see, you went from having some pretty interesting days to kind of, just flat for the last three at
Well, and you
least.
mark the one day that was CPI data day too.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's been somewhat not the most interesting trading, but we'll find something. Right now our gappers list, guys, is showing a couple of things in the red, not so much in the green. And many of these tickers are not great traders like Momo EDU, Becky So ACHT. I never seen that one, at least I don't recall. We'll see what's going on there. But for the most part, not a whole lot. XPEV is one that we know can trade very well. So we'll dive into that one, and then gapping up, not a whole lot. Again, just kind of giving you a reflection of what we might get today. Just a lot of sideways action until tomorrow. Norm, any news coming out today that might be worth keeping an eye on?
No, not really. I mean, these this data today with the New York Fed inflation expectations and federal budget shouldn't really have any impact on anything. I can't imagine it would. Tomorrow's a big day. CPI that'll be at 8:30 right when we come on, and then of course the FOMC is meeting tomorrow and Wednesday. As always, at the end of their 2-day meeting, they will release their policy notes, and then half an hour later they will have the Jerome Powell press conference at 2:30 on Wednesday. So a couple of big days coming up, but yeah, knock on
Um,
wood, inflation's not too crazy.
yeah, let's hope it's not a wild. That's for sure. All right, guys,
Data
let's
we
see what.
had, the inflation data we have come out on Friday wasn't
Mhm.
good, but
Yeah, yeah. Let's oh no, not that. Let's make some new rows over here, guys, and get ready for our gappers list. So let's go ahead and start with what's gapping up. COUP, not looking great this morning, up 26%, 1.6 million shares traded, but a horrible pre-market activity. Doesn't look like a bio, but it could be. Norm, looks pretty ugly so far.
there's a take private deal here,
Okay.
and yeah, so essentially it's the same as a buyout.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So it won't be really tradable, guys, today. Yeah, I'll stay away from. Let me move this out of the way. Excuse me, guys. Okay. There we go. Stuff is not in the where it needs to be. Okay. Yeah, so no good there. Let's move down to HZNP, and this one is up 14%. 8 million shares traded so far. I don't like the daily on this one. Very light volume. Looks like we had a gap up not a few days ago. Some sideways action since then, and we're gapping up again here this morning. Um, Norm, what's your take on this one?
This is a buyout.
Bio? Okay, nothing to see there, guys. Even if that wasn't the case, man, it looks terrifying to trade this thing. Doesn't look very
It's a
very clean.
biotech.
Yeah. So
So
let's see what's gapping down, guys. Leading the way, Ace T here, and they are down 38%, guys. 540,000 shares traded. So looks like a bio company as well. A little bit on the lower side on the flow, 26.4 million flow size here. Um, Norm, anything good on this?
I don't see anything fresh as of this morning. Maybe I'm missing it. They had some news that came out last week, and I would tend to think maybe today's something has to have come out, but I don't see it. This is not something I would probably trade anyway. It's
Yeah.
relatively lower side of the float at 26 million. I see 38 million from some sources, but And then it's got 11% short interest, it seems. 12 on TI, 12 and a half. It
Yeah.
just doesn't look good to me, man.
No, it doesn't.
I'm
Yeah.
sure there's some news, something's causing it to move 38%, but I just don't like it, so I didn't really dig.
Yeah, and some of the red flags that I look at is, you're down 38% with only 540,000 shares traded. To me, that's a little scary. I want to see more volume than that if you're down so much. And if you look at their history,
Yeah.
they're barely trading over 1 million shares. So today, today they could do something. They traded half of what they usually do, right, on the best days. But again, it just doesn't look good to me, man. I'm with you, Norm. We'll skip on to another one. We could be wrong, but I'd rather spend my mental bandwidth watching something else that can possibly give me a
Just not a
better
huge fan of
opportunity.
biotechs to begin with, usually.
That's too. They're risky.
There are some people
Yeah.
that specialize in them and they do a great job. Me, no.
Yeah, exactly. Becky here, guys. Becky this morning, they are down 4.5. Not a whole lot of volume right now. Pre-market activities, it's not really doing anything. I don't think this thing is really in play today, although it's hitting the scanner. So I'm just going to skip on it for now. Let's take a look at
I'm just going to say everything else you got on your list is just China. And
Oh, yeah,
China
these are all
for the most
Chinese
part,
stickers.
so.
Is Momo a Chinese sticker? We
Yeah.
don't get that. Oh, it is? Okay. So out of all of those, the best one is actually XPEV. And today they're down 3.8, but the volume is very light, guys. Only 561,000. So that's not too attractive. Their daily is nice. I like the possible opportunity of a drop here. But we'll have to see. I think this could be a good possible. That's just about it. Wow. Nothing on our list so far. And these two, they're not going to make. I guarantee that. Let's look at them. Here's Momo, down 4%. Again, just horrible. And EDU
Almost
is just
no.
Momo is no. And EDU is something that I just, this one is one that the garbage can should come up every time I bring it up. I just don't want no parts of this thing here. So, guys, nothing on our main list. Norm, anything you're looking at today that you like?
Well, Tesla's been, one of our usual suspects recently. It's definitely, it can be traded pretty much any day. So I keep my eyes on that. And speaking on same space, Rivian, RIVN, they did have news that they had signed a God, I can't talk. It's Monday. Memorandum of agreement with Mercedes-Benz in September, I believe, to work on a EV van together. And they are saying they are no longer pursuing that. So this morning they were down a little bit more. They've started to creep up as the morning has gone along. But is it great? No.
Better than what we've seen so far?
Yeah, exactly. So that might be something.
Yeah.
That's. I might just not trade today. Who knows? We'll see. Be patient, guys.
Yeah, it's one of those days where you got to be patient, and don't worry, we'll get our action this week. There's no doubt about it. We'll get our fix. So Rivian, guys, on deck here. I like the bounce they had this morning so far. Right, it went all the way down 25 at 27, looking for that previous day close. So far, that's been pretty interesting. There, wish they had a little more volume, but again, not bad. Someone mentioned that we look at a HZNP. Let
Yes.
me look at it again. We did. We didn't like it. What was this a
Buyout.
buyout? Yeah, that's why. It's a buyout. Yeah, so not good there, man. You're probably not gonna get clean trading out of this. Okay, what else, guys? What else you guys have? Rivian is good. That's on deck. With their news, so that's good there. And I see a lot of you guys are not throwing a lot of tickers out, and I don't blame you, because there's just not a whole lot there that looks great. And this might actually explain what this morning looks like so far. It will change.
Why
Right
can't
now-
it be today when we have technical difficulties?
You know what? That is a great point, man. You hit it right on the nail, the head right there, whatever, the saying. You hit it right on, man. Why can
I'd
today
rather
I have
hit my head on a nail today.
Yeah, why can't today I have mic problems? It is a Monday. It's a perfect scenario. It's a Monday. It's snowing outside. It's cold as heck. Today would have been perfect for some issues with
it's
internet
snowing.
and all of that. But of course, it happens when we have a busy morning and some stuff to actually watch. Let's go over to YouTube. So we have Tesla, Francis. That's good. As Thor mentioned, that's on deck. AA is giving us Baba. Let's take a look at Baba this morning and see what's happening there. Baba, no, again, Chinese tickers slightly down. Baba is down, looks like the least out of all of these. They all have very similar daily though, which I like, which is, the push up and kind of the sideways action here. Baba has that. XBEV has the same thing. We see kind of like the push up and then moving sideways. I'm sure Neo, similar situation. I think tomorrow is where we're going to have fun with these guys. All of them have extremely light volume, by the way. They're not in play today. Look at Neo with only 664,000.
China will be what we won't trade tomorrow.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
it
Because
doesn't get impacted by the
yeah.
U.S. inflation
Yeah.
stuff.
Unless they have some news comes out and for some reason the spike can piggyback on it. But yeah, you're right. It's not going to be a huge impact to them. We'll be looking at other stuff, no question. QCOM this morning they are down 2.7. Okay, that's a decent drop. They're losing a nice area of support. Downgrade trader in the Independiente. So that's a Spanish trader there. Yeah, that's a nice drop on QCOM. I'm not a huge fan of QCOM on a normal basis. They just don't trade all that clean for me. But today they got something going on. At least they got a drop there below that support level that has held all the way since November 11th, looks like. So this could be something. Let's see if they get the volume. Right now, very, very light on volume. Actually, you know what? I put this in the wrong spot. It shouldn't be on our main list. It's more of a possible if volume can come in and kind of give us some opportunities there. So we move that from up there. BBBY and
Still in
APVO.
business?
Let's look at BBBY. No, they're still in business somehow. Hitting is $3 all time low. Is what's the low here? Looks like they're 308.
No.
Man, this is brutal.
Did somebody call out? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Can't believe we're trading this thing at 30 just in 2021. I mean, madness. $3 now, so nothing to see there. Netflix, we'll look at Amazon next. And someone mentioned APVO. Is that a ticker? APVO? It is, and it's moving. We got 8.9 million, up 112%. What's happening this morning? What's the news on this APVO? Let's check the float in the meantime.
5 million.
4.8, yeah, 5 million there.
Phase 1B trial news.
Okay, that again.
Biotech, low float. Be careful.
Be careful. It is in play today, guys.
It's at least doing something.
Yeah, it's moving, right? It's moving. Just be careful with this thing. I'll have it on here. It is in play, no question. But I always tell people, reminder, we haven't seen a good low flow in a while. This seems to be one that's hitting all the steps here. You got the pop up, it didn't sell back down. You got volume. You're hitting the highs and breaking them. So that's what you want to see. But again, you have to have a plan. You got to be experienced. Don't just go winging it there. You can get your face ripped off. So be very, very careful. Amazon next. We'll look at Carvana. I was by Philadelphia yesterday and I saw one of these vending machines. Very weird, man. First time I've seen one. So if you're in Philly, I sure know what I'm talking about. And it's just like, I would love to see that thing in action, dropping a car down. That's got to be funny. Let's see here. One of those Carvana vending machines.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw one yesterday. I was by Philly, and I saw one of those yesterday. PBO.
You not seen one before?
No, I'm not. And I saw one in pictures, but I actually haven't seen one.
It's funny when you first see it. It's like
I was ridiculous. Like, what the heck? Cars in a tube?
Cars in a tube.
It looked very, very funny, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're going down, buddy. You're going down. All right, let's see here. Amazon. Amazon is next. Let's take a look at that one. Then we'll do two more, and then we'll head
great marketing
announcements.
I don't know what their cost to build those things is, but everybody talks about them. And when you see one, you don't forget it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I will never forget that. You're absolutely right. Amazon, pretty flat right now. It's got some volume. Again, our usual suspects probably all look the same. So here's Apple. Yeah, they're just flat right now, man. I don't think we'll see anything great out of these today. Nvidia up slightly here. It's going to be a wait and see game today, guys, especially at the market open. Just got to wait and see what the market is willing to give us today. Okay, so I'm not adding any of my usual suspects just yet. I will be looking out for Apple and things like that, but for the most part, it's a wait and see today to see how things are going to lay out. Let's look at BA, and then we'll call it here. We'll take a look at our community events coming up for this week. That's probably, not probably, I'm sure 100% is more exciting than our watch list this morning. Here is BA. Guys, no volume right now, which is okay. BA usually tends not to do a whole lot of volume pre-market unless they got some really big news. They had some news last week of some possible sales. We did see some momentum and movement on that. They're daily interesting. They've been doing well, man. Nice for the last couple of months, being at 120 now, 180. So you're seeing some stuff there. A possible one to keep an eye on. It can go either way today, guys. It can go either way. All right, let's get over to our community, not community, our website. Over to our website, bearwoodtraders.com. Click /webinars, and you can see what's coming up for the
I
next.
just realized CarMax. We were chatting in the room and talking about what happens if you pay for it and the car doesn't drop down. And then it started me thinking, CarMax needs to up their marketing game. No, my thing is you just put more. You have to pay again to be able to play again. But like the claw grabber,
like the
game?
claw thing that picks up picks up
so
the
CarMax
cars.
needs to up their marketing and make a claw game for their cars.
Yeah.
And you know how, like, even if you do pick the thing up, 99% of the time it drops.
By the time it comes to the thing,
awesome.
And it does the little shaking, and before it does that, it drops. It's ridiculous.
That would be great. All right. Spice up the morning a little bit with these slow market. All right, guys, every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, onboarding and technology. Be sure to check that out with Carlos. And on Tuesdays, we have strategy. Thor tomorrow night is going to be talking about, remind me here, managing the trade or not the trade and how to know when your trading system is working, collecting data, and being in control. Following week at 8 p.m. is John talking about resetting your trading life. Wednesdays, psychology. 8 p.m. Eastern this week, talking about pathway to become a successful trader. A lot of these are geared at the new year and trying to get in the right mindset to get into the new year. So keep that in mind. And then the next week on the 21st, Mike, once again, talking about the interaction between a trade book and trading psychology. Thursday, we've got mentorship at 11 a.m. with John and 8 p.m. with Thor. Tradingterminal.com. Where you can check out the our free one-stop shop for everything trading related, from calendars, and that has economic calendars. You got heat maps you can check out during the day to see what sectors are trading well. Of course, scanners. There are tools here, guys, that people spend thousands of dollars a year on that you can access for free, and we have great updates coming soon as well. Also, don't forget about the simulator, where you can use our web-based free replay simulator 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as part of that. All right. And then if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't been in the room, you'd like to check it out, use the promo code PreMarket24 when you sign up for that intro membership on the far left. It's a one-time payment. Does not charge you a second time. It just expires after 7 calendar days. Smiley face, tiny nose. I like it. It's PreMarket24, no space, no hyphens, no anything, just PreMarket and then the numbers 24. Also, Holidays 50, use that to get a discount off the Elite annual membership if you'd like to become an Elite member, and take advantage of the current pricing, as unfortunately we have to increase a little bit at the beginning of the year. That also gets you the free one-on-one coaching session with Dr. Kenneth Reed. So there you go.
Thank you so much, Norm. Guys, all right, our list so far, not blockbuster for sure. We have Tesla, Rivian, XBEV, QCOM, and BA, and those three at the secondary pile over here. So not a whole lot going on there. Let's take a look. So we're ahead of schedule today because our list is not great. It will continue to develop. I see some other ones coming on here on our gap down list. I see PBR, which PBR is starting to drop a little aggressive. What's going on with PBR, guys? If you have accessibility to check if there's anything out, got a little drop going on here in the last couple of minutes, down 3.5. Anything going on with that sector there? Don't see anything happening there. DK and G also coming on here. Not a whole lot going on. PBR looks like it's dropping on somewhat some possible news, just the way how fast and aggressive that has been without volume. But that's a nice drop in the last couple of minutes. And we'll take a look. TCOM coming in here. This is a Chinese ticker as well, which is actually green, opposed to being down, up 2.1. but you guys know how bad this thing can trade. I try to stay away from it as much as I can. Think Carvana can go up to $100 again long term. Liverpool, I don't know, man. That's if there's any other investments opportunities, I'd like to see those. If that's the only one, man, that's tough. It's a risky bet. Anything can happen. You can come in, somebody can buy this thing and actually do a good business plan and withstand the downtime that we're in, right? Kind of with be able to kind of support, not support, but be able to survive the bad economy that we're in, and anything is possible, man. If they can make it work, why not? One of the biggest expenses in selling cars is having a brick and mortar store where you have to have inventory, tons of inventory. People come in, it's people, cleaning all this stuff, energy. It's possible, but I just don't know if they can survive this situation here. A short squeeze. I don't know about short squeeze on Carvana, man. I Not to 100. I don't think that's. And we kind of talked about this last week too. Norm put us some great points about being able to short squeeze like that. Doesn't mean that's always going to work out as a squeeze, even if you have a very short interest, right? It's not really an something you want to bank on. So yeah, Liverpool, it can go either way. Pablo, Nvidia, and Amazon. We did take a look at those actually. Both are usual suspects. I'll be looking at them. I haven't put any of my usual suspects on deck here. All this stuff right now has been from our gappers list and some of the stuff you guys brought up. But yeah, Amazon, Nvidia, Apple, all these guys are not doing a whole lot. And look at their volume today. They're extremely light this morning. And again, just kind of waiting for the information tomorrow. Everybody knows that tomorrow is the day we're going to get at least some indication of where price action might go for the near future, right? And then we're going to see the reaction towards that. So tomorrow we're definitely going to have some fun. We just want the market today to give us a little bit of opportunities, not to be completely choppy. You got things like Tesla, which will move very well. There could be some scalping opportunities there also. Rivian's bounce here, guys. This is a very, very good bounce pre-market. So yeah, Norm brought this one up. It wasn't showing on our gappers. And this looks really good today, actually. If it can go green here, we got 600,000 shares traded. Again, not huge, but out of the stuff we have on our list, this seems to be having its own thing, which we know actually Norm told you guys about the deal happening there. This looks very, very interesting. Could you see coin is near 52-week low? Oh, man, coin. Look at this. 52-week low, $40, not bad. I would have thought it would have been lower, but that's good. Actually, not really, because this ticker was like a 300 something, right? What was their IPO price? What's their IPO here? 3 something, right? I mean, talk about disastrous history here on coin, $40. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It can go either way here. 52-week low, it can drop lower. We've seen a bounce from here before, but the situation is a lot different now that it was in May, June, and July. So all these coins have just taken a huge hit. It can go either way, man. It can really go either way. But as far as day trading it today, the volume I'm not seeing is great, which I'm not seeing good volume across the board. So, it's going to be a tough one. I don't see them good enough to be on my list. Maybe when they hit scanners, right? Today will be a good day to look at scanners and kind of see if anything pops up there. So what is the Fernando, the 52-week low? Is it well, it's already low at 39.80, 81. We'll mark that there for sure. 39.81 there. In the meantime, let's take a look at what else, guys. QCOM is down 2.5. Yeah, QCOM, I have them on my secondary list here. I think they're doing their own thing as well, and they're actually, compared to everything else we have, are actually in play. They have a downgrade, right? So they can actually move here. I might move these guys up if I don't find anything better to look at, which I probably will end up doing. The only reason why they are on my secondary list is because QCOM reminds me a little bit of the way INTC trades, the way not Dell. That was horrible. That was probably the worst one out of those three. These type of companies just don't trade very well. Their volume is very light. When they have news, they can move, and even when they do that big move, it's still with very light volume. So reading the price action is a little bit tougher with light volume, right? So So that's the thing there. Yeah, Matthew, I agree. Just no volume. But I again, the drop here, 2.6, 100,000, was more interesting. Really, is the drop of this level here. We lost this level here in the daily, and maybe that can give us a run to 112 at least. I don't think you gonna get to 109, but maybe 112, maybe 112.53. Listen. You can get a move like that on the QCOM on a day like today, and you're gonna be you're golden. Yeah, Michael. I think the only way they recover is, man, again, their debts is so high, man. They're over leveraged as far as their finances, which again a lot of companies are, and it's tough unless somebody comes in and buys them out, and again can allow them to survive this situation where things are just bad. I don't think they can recover on their own. I don't see how they would do that. I just don't see it. All right. Anything else, guys? Any questions? We can also answer any questions you might have that about tickers, about trading. We do have time today, 8:57, and our list is pretty much extremely short. Tesla looking to drop below the low of the pre-market. So again, Tesla very active, guys. Already 816,000 on Tesla. So this will be a good one to watch today. It's doing its own thing, looks like, or the SPY starting to drop a little bit here. Just the last few minutes, you got a nice, decent sized red candle compared to what's been happening all morning. So kind of doing some SPY stuff there. Let's see if the SPY can hold, if it's going to stay within this range, right? We have a nice range within the SPY, which is very, very clear. It's 397 and the previous day close, right? Very, very clear range that we kind of been hovering around. Yes, we had a couple of days where we broke out of here. This was CP. Let me not confuse it. This is PPI, right? I believe the 30th. And you got the nice drop there back into the range. So again, we're just, if you look at the big picture, we're just kind of stuck right in here. We're seeing support, resistance. Tomorrow, I guarantee it will break out of this range one way or the other. So let's see. I don't think tomorrow you're going to stay within this range. It's almost impossible for that to happen with how much everybody's waiting for this data to drop to make moves. Tesla, do you take Tesla short at market open or wait for a 5-minute candle? I'm waiting. I'm waiting for some information to develop on within that 5 minutes. So I usually start looking for opening range breakdown or breakup within 3 to 5 minutes, right? At least minimum 3 minutes. Sometimes by 3 minutes you see something good. You're seeing a lot of volume coming in. It's moving well. You can make a determination by then. But at least 3 to 5 minutes, you have to wait. Depending on your trading style, right? If you're looking for a 5-minute opening range breakup, if you're getting in before that, you're either doing a 1 minute or 2 minute. You're doing something else. You're not doing a 5 minute because you really haven't given the stock enough time to develop the range. How do you know? That's gonna be the range, right? So if you do a 5 minute, you gotta at least wait for that 5-minute range to start showing you some good information. What happens though is sometimes by 3 minutes you get a big drop and it comes right back to VWAP, right? You're still within that 3 to 4 minutes. This can be a good entry short if it starts showing signs of weakness back to the low. And you see my entries, guys, is usually at that pullback, right? And that can happen between as early as 3 to 4 minutes, right? And sometimes if you wait 5 minutes and it runs without you, and it's too extended, you don't take that trade. Very, very important. Do not take that trade because now you're putting yourself at a worse ratio for that to be a winner. Carlos, I'm exploring options. Other than Brian Pest, I'm wondering who here trades options and if there are or will be BBT webinars on the subject. So you have Brian, you have Artie. Artie trades options, right? Artie and Jared. I think Jared knows a ton about options, right? Every morning he's kind of breaking that down. As far as those three, I don't know who else is trading options, right? But definitely Artie and Jared are on it. I mean, they've done a couple of courses on our education center. You can look at some one-on-one stuff just to kind of get you started. But I'm sure in the future they're going to put together something a little more advanced, right? But every morning they're doing options. So how many members in chat are doing options? By the way, I would love to see that. Just type in me in the chat. Who's doing options? Okay. Oh, all right. There we go. So Ravzilla, you found your source right here, man. Everyone has got a good group of people here doing options within the community itself. So yeah, Also in our YouTube channel, we got a couple of people that do options also. All right, good. Yeah, options is it's a good way to kind of have a balance between the active trading and also doing options too. So yeah, got a lot of options traders, which is really nice. Yeah, guys, I will not be surprised with all the work that Artie, Jared, and just overall BBT is putting in. If you don't see some options courses in the near future, maybe 2023, you have some already, some one-on-one stuff. I don't see if you. I won't be surprised if you start seeing some stuff, especially in the academy trading terminal over in the academy. That's building up yet right now. It's still very in the very early stages, but be on the lookout for that. I guarantee you're going to be start seeing some options type courses there. So, and these guys know their stuff. When they start talking options, like when we're hanging out in these meetups and they start talking options, that's just kind of like, the Homer Simpson, which kind of goes into the the bushes. That's me. Just kind of going to the bushes, like, okay, they reached another level. I can't be part of this conversation yet. So yeah, they know their stuff, man. Carvana gonna run today, hearing some crazy price targets like GME, AMC, and BBY. Yeah, you can get a short term squeeze on this. I That's possible, but if you look at this, man, I mean, it's under $4, $5, which I technically don't like. Stocks under 10. Um, I don't know. I really don't know. You know what? Since there's so much talk about it, I'm gonna put it on here and see what it does. Um, I just I just don't see this. If it's squeezed, I don't see it doing like a GME, right? Or AMC. I don't see that. Again, my own personal opinion. And yeah, there we go, Jared. That's me right there when people start talking about options and strangles and iron condors and all this other crazy stuff. I disappear from the conversation. My brother does options, so I know a little bit as far as, some of the things that you're able to do. Really interesting. We got to take the time to really learn it a little bit more. Really interesting stuff. Um, all right, excellent, guys. So our list today, we have Tesla, we have Rivian. We got a couple of moderators coming in with their list. I see Thor already in with his list, Jared and Susan. Let's see what they have. Maybe I can get some ideas from them. Rivian, Thor's looking at Rivian, PFE. Let's take a look at PFE this morning. Not a whole lot going on, but usually when Thor has something that's like this, he's looking at other data that's showing him there's a possible opportunity, right? So if he's in the chat, he'll kind of break out what kind of give you guys what he likes on this one. I don't see it right now, but this must be some levels that he likes. Netflix. A few of you have Netflix on deck, and Netflix daily. Not doing a whole lot right now, but they're daily though. Very, very interesting. Had a nice pop last week. Went all the way to 330, came back down. I think this was one of the few stocks that traded very well on not on Friday. I think on Thursday, right? Was it one of these? No, actually, no, it was Friday. It was Friday. So it actually did something on Friday. This was Friday at 12:09. Yeah. So yeah, we'll have to see. Interesting daily for sure, guys. We're holding this level above the most recent high. So that's a good sign. This is setting up to go either way. So I do like Netflix. We'll put that here on my list as well. And then we have Tesla, which we all have. We know that's going to be in play. Jared looking at Rivian, Nvidia, MU, Coin, SLB, and Billy. So a few possibles there. The one I'm interested in looking at is MU. So Jared has MU on his list today, which again we haven't seen do great stuff. But if Jared has it on, there's got to be a reason. Something looks good today that he likes on the semiconductors. Jared, are you looking to trade MU, at least to have MU on your list, or are you looking at it for an opportunity elsewhere? Just curious on that. Because MU could be a good indicator for other things when it comes to semiconductors. So interesting what he's looking at there. Similar to QCOM weakness. Okay. So some weakness showing around on semis today. Tesla's dumping. Is the SPY dumping as well, or just Tesla? SPY is not doing much. So yeah, Tesla was showing. Tesla's showing some weakness here, guys. Making a new low right now. Yeah, this is in play. Check if any news came out. I wonder if any news came out here. But yeah, this is dropping here, as you can see. Tesla definitely doing some stuff. 940,000, probably one of the few tickers that has the most volume we've seen this morning. Jav is looking at PayPal from last week. So here's PayPal from last week. Man, PayPal is $73. Yeah. See, if I were to think of companies that will come back this will be one of them, right? This will be one of them because this just needs the market to get better again, right? We're going through the cycle, as you guys know. I'm not going to go into the details. Jared talks about this better than I can, and he already explained to you what kind of going on, right? Artie put a great video over the weekend as well, guys. Check that video out talking about options, right? He's talking about options, but he's also talking about where are we sitting overall with this market cycle. So great video. Don't miss it. It's on our YouTube channel. And make sure you comment and support, guys, because it motivates the person that's doing the video to do more of these, and it helps the video kind of move forward and be seen by other like-minded traders. So make sure to support the guys that are putting the time to do those videos. They're not easy recording videos. That's a whole different topic we can get into. But PayPal is one that you can see in the future coming back, right? But Carvana, ooh, I don't know, man. I don't know. All right, what else we got here? So that's PayPal from last week for Jared. And then Susan looking at NVIDIA, Meta, Tesla, and AMD. So NVIDIA, Tesla, and AMD, we know about those. But Meta, let's see Meta. What's going on there? I know they've been doing some stuff here, guys, kind of trying to close this gap. You guys remember the big drop here they had, dropped even lower to 90. And then look how fast they rallied to kind of try to close this gap. And that's a big run, guys. 85 to 116, all the way up to 125. And today, not doing a whole lot. Just kind of sideways, which the way the market has been over the last couple of days. So can't go either way on this one when it comes to Meta and the price action. DKNG moving on interesting, but not too much volume. Yeah, nothing has volume today. Nothing has great volume. Besides Tesla, everything has very light volume this morning. Here's DKNG. You know what, DKNG, I look at DKNG every morning, and the only reason why is because I guess my layout on Dash is saved with DKNG on it. So when I pull up, every time I open a DKNG is the first thing I look at, and it doesn't do much. I don't think it's been trading well. Every time I look at it, it's like, okay, didn't really do a whole lot. Friday we had a huge drop. What was this drop on? Do we know? Is there any news on DKNG? But their daily does look interesting for a possible drop here. I just don't know if we're going to get the volume on this thing. Volume has been extremely light the last couple of weeks. You could tell here, end of November through December. I mean, it's just very light volume overall on it. So not seeing anything great as of yet. But yeah, any news? The Friday seemed to have dropped quite nicely there. Melanie's giving us Costco. Moved on Friday. Yeah, what they had on Friday? Didn't they have something on Friday, or was it maybe I'm mistaken for something else? But here's Costco. I believe they had. Let me not speak out of turn here. Did they have earnings last week? Oh, yeah, they did. They did. Okay, yeah. Well, so I remember correctly. The still working up there. The brain. December 8th they had earnings. So yeah, this is what you saw there. I don't think today you're gonna get much more. Tomorrow. Costco tomorrow will be a good one if you like to trade this one. I don't think today you're going to get a whole lot of movement. The movement you got yesterday was on the market stuff. I mean, I'm sorry, on December 8th was on just data here, right? This was after hours, so it really happened here, right? Here's the earnings, and then you got the play on the 9th. I don't think today you're going to get anything into tomorrow. This is my take on it. Carlos, what do you find these stocks with high volume that haven't gapped on TI or other scanners? There's a few. Let's take you over to tradingterminal.com, guys, so you can get free scanners on us. So come over here and move down to scanners. And there's a few. I like my personal favorites for the strategy I'm looking for. It's going to be this turbo breakup and turbo breakdown, right? These two are going to activate when the market opens, and you're going to start seeing tickers hit this very aggressively. So what I like to see is, I don't go crazy looking at every single ticker on there. I want to see the ones that are kind of flooding the list a little bit. So let's say you start seeing, AMD twice here, then AMD comes up again, then AMD comes up again between some other unknown tickers that might not be doing a whole lot. Well, I want to see what AMD is doing, right? I want to pull up AMD if it's hitting the scanner that much, right? So that's a good way to look at it. You don't want to pull up every single individual one. Some stuff there might not trade very well. Also, what I'll do is whatever comes up here, if it's already on my secondary list, right? XBEV, QCOM, BA, Carvana, it's already on my secondary list. So I somewhat like what I saw this morning, just needs more volume. Then I want to pull those up because I already have some kind of pre-information already on possibility of that being a good trade for today. We just need the volume to head to be going into one direction, right? So to, I'm not going to break down the entire criteria of the turbo breakup. We do have a webinar in our education center. I break this down exactly what you're looking for and some of the possible trades you can take on our scanners class. But here, the basic idea is you're looking at stocks that are moving in one direction with heavy volume. That is what this is going to track, right? So for turbo breakup, turbo breakdown, for ORB, this is a great scanner. And you have other ones too. I mean, you have the VWAP breakout, which I think is a little bit later is better than at the market open. You got volume breakouts. This is going to give you that as well. So there's a few on here that are really good. You got your 5-minute ORB volume. This is good too, but this is a little bit better right at the market open. Right then later, after 5 minutes, after 15 minutes, this can be a good one as well to see what's moving out of that range with volume, right? So we got a few on here. And you also have high volume trending stocks, right? So it's a bunch of stuff. But my favorite for ORB is these two here. And hopefully that answers that question. All right, folks. Let's see here. So right now, 9:12. Let's wrap up this list. Let's see what we got going on. So far, Tesla, good volume, continues to drop, guys. Trying to make a new low here. So definitely one of my favorites. Guys, you know what we forgot to do? It's been such an off day. What did we forget to do? Let's see if you guys know this show very well. What have we not done yet? Let's see here. What can we offer? Can we offer like a $25 gift card? Oh, that was too easy. Levels. Everybody got it. All right. Levels. Yes. We haven't done levels. Let's do levels. And on YouTube as well, guys. Amazing job. Thumbs up to you guys. Hit that thumbs up over on YouTube. If you haven't done so already, it does help out the channel a whole lot. With that said, we got 2 minutes to do levels. Let's see how we could do this. Here's Tesla. Tesla right now, guys, we have our low of our pre-market, which continues to drop. But I'm going to mark down a few levels here. I'm going to mark down 177.70. Reason for that is because we did have a little bit of action here, here, and here. So I want to have that level on there, right? 177.70. And then towards the bottom, we're making a new low now. We're just going to let this play out right now. We'll mark that new low when it actually finds some support. Man, it continues to drop. Guys, any news on Tesla? It continues to drop here. Now down 1.3. Volume is coming in. You can see the ramp here, the ramp of volume. Let's see if that can stay consistent. That's always fun. Yeah, Tesla's looking really good, my friends. Really, really good. And then outside of that, it's going to make our levels process a little bit easy. We have the highs and lows for the last 2 trade days, so we don't have to add anything else. Our high of our pre-market is pretty much the previous day close is the most important thing up here. Go ahead and get fancy and mark down 179.56. That's okay. But that previous day close is what we're going to be looking at. Let's take a look at Rivian, guys. Very similar process here. Oh, look at that. We already have our low of our pre-market, 25.96. What a bounce so far this morning. Dropping a little bit here. Is it EV related? Do we have some EV news? I don't know. Dropping as well here a little bit. And a 25.92 low of the pre-market towards the top, making our process very easy. Highs and lows of the last 2 trading days and the previous day close. So tons of stuff happening up there. And let's see if we drop down here. What's the next level we have? Look at that 25.92 level, guys. I mean, it doesn't get cleaner than that. Look at that. Nice. 25.92. And then towards the bottom, we have a 24.55. And just in case we want to take a nice dive, I don't think this is happening. 22.63 down there as well. So that's Rivian. Netflix, let's take a look at that right now, sitting smack in the middle of some highs and lows here. So not a whole lot going on. You got your high and low from yesterday. You got your previous day close and highs and lows towards the bottom. So again, pretty easy levels here. And I'm only going to mark down the high of the pre-market, 333.22. Again, not really in play yet. We do like the daily on this one. This is more of a possible, but given a day like today, there's not a whole lot going on this morning. Okay. There we are. Is the S&P dropping? No, I don't know, man. If you look at the S&P here, right? It's moving up now. It's dropped a little. It's moving up. If you look at Tesla, we're going south. We're going south. We started going south since 8. So it seems like there's might be something else going on. Rivian, not so much as Tesla, right? So we'll see. We'll continue to chat on this in our chat here, guys. Brian and Andrew are up next trading live. And let me bring our moderators list. And I'm going to continue to build my list. Right now, Tesla, Rivian, Netflix. I'll continue to build that. But right now, that's all I really like at the moment. Let me go ahead and disable this chat. We'll bring our moderators final list up. And as I am doing this, guys, I want to give a big shout out. Happy birthday to Abiel, my friends. Abiel's birthday was on Saturday, I believe. So happy birthday to him. The man is the legend. He does a lot of stuff in the back end that you don't get to see. Some stuff that I cannot even mention. The guy is just incredible. So shout out to him. Happy birthday, man. All the support that he does for the community. This community wouldn't run as smooth as it does if it wasn't with that gentleman. So happy birthday, Abiel. We appreciate everything you do, my friend. So with that said, let's take a look here at our moderators list this morning. We have Thor, Rivian, PFE, Netflix, and Tesla. We have, yeah, he is a goat, Jared. He's a goat. No doubt. Jared looking at Rivian, Nvidia, MU, secondary coin, SOB, and Billy, and also looking at PayPal for Jared there. Susan, Nvidia, Meta, secondary list, Tesla, AMD. Peter will be looking at AMD, Apple, and Tesla, secondary list Rivian, and Amazon to be determined if anything else comes up. No IPOs, no SPACs for today. And Brian will be looking at nothing great yet, but his list is actually pretty decent here. MU, NVIDIA, BABA, Lee, UNG, and Tesla this morning for Brian. And then Megan looking at Shop, Coin, and Apple. Guys, it's a wait and see type day. Very, very patient as we wait for setups here. We'll find something to trade. Just don't waste all your ammo on garbage stocks or don't have the volume and are not moving with a direction and your possible setup. So, guys, take care, my friend. Trade safe. We will see you guys tonight onboarding class at 8 p.m. over on YouTube. If you haven't checked out our community, tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time, onboarding class. Myself and Mike, we're going to go through the environment, have a little chat about anything you guys want to talk about, Q&A. It'll be a whole lot of fun, so don't miss it over at 8 p.m. tonight. So take care, guys. Trade safe.